Rainy Thursday afternoon in downtown Charlottesville. It's been a really busy morning today. On the phone, yours truly, with three clients currently. Real estate, one of them. Finance, the other. Deal making, the third. Welcomed a new client through a signed contract to our firm about an hour ago. I'm going to give some early props and some early attention to this new client here very shortly and why we're excited to work with this team. It's a designer, a builder, and a local realtor that are doing an awesome project on Druid Avenue that you're going to see spotlighted on this show over the next 30 days. I think a very clever business model, which we're going to showcase on the program with an interview spotlight with this team, where they are pursuing real estate locally that is non-loanable housing, renovating the non-loanable housing, and then through enhancing the value of the property, design, contracting, build, then bringing the property to market as a way to increase inventory locally in Charlottesville, which fits the mission of the new zoning ordinance in certain capacities, but certainly the mission of Charlottesville of bringing additional inventory to market. We'll talk about that new client and what they're doing here momentarily on the program. I am currently efforting an interview with Larry Sabato, the UVA professor superstar on the program. We're in correspondence with his right-hand person as we speak about scheduling that interview. Details on that to come. I want to talk on today's show about Boeing. That did not make the rundown, but if you could have that who, what, when, where, why in front of us. And I want to salute Vanessa Parkhill for bringing that to my attention. Boeing is closing a location in Virginia. Yesterday we highlighted the increased, the spiking unemployment rate in the Commonwealth. It's a perfect transition into Abigail Spanberger, the governor, and if this Democratic-controlled General Assembly and Spanberger, a Dem herself, if we're seeing a Commonwealth early staged perceived to be less business friendly, and whether that will impact small cap, mid cap, large cap businesses across the Commonwealth in their pursuit of doing business here in our state. In this digital world we live in, where internet service providers are better than ever, where technology is more robust and ubiquitous than ever, we should not rest on our laurels that big brands, that small, mid, large caps are just going to call Virginia home. I'm going to relay a story that came up in conversation yesterday with my wife and I and Deep Throat, a friend of mine who I play squash with in Long Island, Southampton, Long Island, has given some consideration to moving his hedge fund from Manhattan to Florida. Obviously, the tax breaks come immediately to mind with a new socialist mayor in the Big Apple in Manhattan who's pursuing aggressively taxing of the wealthy, of financiers. But a number of other reasons he gave why he's considering moving his fund from New York, where he calls home, from the city, to Florida. And I want to tie that into some of the headwinds or concerning storylines we're seeing in Virginia right now, including Boeing announcing yesterday that it will move its defense, space, and security headquarters out of Northern Virginia. The change moves the defense headquarters from Arlington back to St. Louis, where it was located from 97 to 2017. You offer a little bit more insight and clarity into that. It's a perfect dovetail into Spanberger and whether she's making Virginia less friendly, which is a perfect dovetail into redistricting. Do we call the AstraZeneca deal a slam dunk in Albemarle County? Do we call the Eli Lilly deal a slam dunk in Goochland County? Do we call the Merck deal a slam dunk in the Shenandoah Valley? These were deals brokered, championed, and really celebrated by the previous administration, Glenn Youngkin. Are they clear-cut, buttoned up? I don't have fresh information on that topic for you, insider information, if you may, but it's certainly a talking point for a talk show like ours. We're going to talk Albemarle County schools as well. The school board and Superintendent Matthew Haas, they want more money. They clear-cut want more money. How about this little tidbit for your cocktail and charcuterie party this weekend? The Albemarle County Public Schools, its Superintendent Dr. Matthew Haas, have submitted the school division's funding request for the upcoming fiscal year, and that total operational budget number, you ready for this, is $311,300,000, a 10% increase roughly, or $27 million uptick from last year's $284 million ask. I want to unpack that on the show. A lot of us are putting our hands in the air and asking, hey, is performance struggling? Why are we asking for so much money? I referenced the tie to Albemarle County Public Schools and its budget to the percentage of overall jurisdictional budget, and if that's the right approach to funding schools. We'll unpack that on the show. I did not get to this topic yesterday. Juan Diego Wade, the mayor of Charlottesville, saying on record that we should institutionalize land buying in the city to breed affordable housing units. Institutionalizing land buying for a city makes no sense to me. I'll try to explain why on the program today. We'll talk about Virginia's shellacking of Georgia Tech yesterday. I mean, it was almost humiliating to watch the Rambling Wreck lose the way they did, especially in the first half. Like, I am a diehard Virginia fan. I am an alpha male. I am as competitive as anyone you will find. I am all for when you step foot on any playing surface, whether grass, whether hardwood, whether asphalt, whatever it is, to go balls to the wall, go as hard as you can, and to pursue a win at all costs within the rules, even if occasionally you are performing and participating in somewhat of a light gray area. But what happened in that first half yesterday, I even felt bad for Georgia Tech and its head coach, Damon Stoudemire, who clearly is about to be fired, ladies and gentlemen, Atlanta. We'll talk about that on today's show. A couple of items that I don't have in the rundown that I want to relay to you. I posted this on the I Love CVille Network yesterday. I found this fascinating. How about this from Seth Liskey. Seth Liskey is a friend of the program. He works in wealth management. He's a finance guy. He's a smart guy. He's also a business investor. He also is in commercial real estate. Our paths cross often, Seth Liskey and I. And he posted this yesterday, and I'm going to relay it to you, the viewer and listener. Seth Liskey also listens to and watches the I Love CVille show. So, Seth, I hope you hear this. Someone tag Seth. He said this: the most interesting thing I read today, if you spent $1 million every day since Jesus Christ was born, you would not have spent the $1 trillion yet. You would not have spent $1 trillion yet. The United States of America is over $37 trillion in debt. I'll give that to you again succinctly. The most interesting thing I read today, Seth Liskey, if you spent $1 million every day since Jesus Christ was born, you would not have spent $1 trillion yet. Our country, the United States of America, is over $37 trillion in debt. That is an astonishing statistic right there. $1 million every day since Jesus was born, you would not have spent $1 trillion yet. And our nation is $37 trillion in debt. And it's important to emphasize, we often try to tie macro topics to Main Street and Preston Avenue and Route 29 and Park Street and the corner, UVA, Albemarle County, macro to micro, that mindset trickles down. It trickles down to the local level. I mean, look at what the schools are doing. A 10% increase in its budget year over year. Mm-hmm. A 10% increase in its budget year over year. I mean, it's out of hand. Last item out of the notebook before we welcome Judah Wickhauer to the program. Judah will lead with some attention for Stanley Martin Holmes here shortly. We're going to welcome a very talented team. Katie Mullins, who is a realtor in our community. Her husband is a contractor, and they've partnered with Chris Coyner, who's got a design firm. And this business unit, this talented business unit of Katie Mullins, of her husband, and Chris Coyner, they all bring fantastic talents to the table. She's really good at putting deals together and selling homes and selling real estate. And Chris Coyner is really good at designing and taking homes and bringing them to market and just making them feel innovative and gorgeous and beautiful and livable and a space where quality of life can be enjoyed. And Katie's husband, his contracting firm is just reputable and honest and top flight. They're bringing a unit to market here shortly, 919 Druid Avenue, that I think is going to be something really special. They took a house that was non-loanable, and in today's buying and selling climate, when it comes to real estate, goodness gracious, these banks, these money guys and gals that are willing or unwilling to offer loans to people to buy houses, they scrutinize homes closer than ever before. You know, during COVID, if a house had 4 walls and some kind of roof, no matter the quality, people were getting 2%, 2.5% loans. And they were buying real estate, whether the house was legitimate, was safe, was stable, was functional. Now it's an extremely different story, folks. Insurance has gotten costly. Any of the supply chain tied to improving or remodeling a house is expensive. Loans are much more difficult to get. They're scrutinizing the money people, the homes, much closer now. And this team of Katie and Chris and Katie's husband are taking homes that do not meet criteria for financing, for underwriting, and they're basically on an operating room table resuscitating them and huffing life into them. And then they're bringing them to market. And their proof of performance, their first attempt at this is 919 Druid Avenue. That is going to be on the market here soon. We're going to welcome this team to the market, to the show, to talk about this home they're bringing to market potentially next week. I think this is a really, really cool idea. Judah, I'd like to go to the studio camera. And then as you go to the studio camera, I would also like to drive some attention to one of the partners of our program. We do a lot in the real estate space, folks. Stanley Martin Homes. They're dedicated to building homes that cater to every person's unique needs and lifestyles. High quality, single family homes, townhomes, and condominiums designed and constructed with innovative techniques that ensure exceptional efficiency and aesthetic appeal. Stanley Martin Homes uses design features and technology to enhance living experiences, not just for today, but for years to come. Proud partner of this show, the I Love CVille Show. Two-shot you, Judah Wickhauer. We have redistricting we can talk about. I genuinely believe that Democrats and Republicans should be opposed to redistricting. We understand why Republicans on paper should be obviously opposed to redistricting. Yeah. But Democrats should be opposed to redistricting as well. We want voters to choose lawmakers. We don't want lawmakers to choose lawmakers. Yeah. Voters choose lawmakers. Lawmakers don't choose other lawmakers. That's not democracy. We'll get to that topic in a matter of moments. We start open-ended with some scatter shooting from Judah Wickhauer. What tickles your fancy? What intrigues you the most today on the I Love CVille show?
I'm amazed that the Albemarle County school system is wanting a 10%, wanting 10% more than last year. And as we noted on, I think it was yesterday's show, they're stocking up on employees. I don't know how else to put it. It was like 160 new students compared to like 270 new school employees.
We talked about this on the I Love CVille show yesterday. Albemarle County Public Schools, 160 incremental or additional students at Albemarle County Public Schools from 2018 until now. Albemarle County Public Schools from 2018 until now, 269 additional employees. That math ain't mathin' for me.
Right.
Why in an 8-year period of time, your student body increases by 160 kids, yet your employment, your workforce inclusive increases by 269 people.
Yeah.
That's a massive red flag. We now know that Dr. Haas, his office, is regularly watching the I Love CVille show, as it should. We are going to highlight on today's show that the Albemarle County Public Schools, they are now asking for more than $311 million with its budget, a 10% increase from last year.
Yep.
We're talking a $27 million uptick. And the last thing I want for this program to be seen as is a program that does not champion teachers, support staff, instructional aides in any capacity. I say this probably once or twice a week minimum. Teachers are underpaid, support staff is underpaid, cafeteria workers are underpaid, bus drivers are underpaid. Yep. They should make more money. The concern I have is the bloat that's on the payroll at the administrative level.
100%.
There's administrators within Albemarle County Public Schools, underlings of Dr. Matthew Haas, that are being hired at aggressive clips. And from my standpoint, that money should be distributed more equitably to frontline workers, the teachers, the aides, the bus drivers, the cafeteria workers, the school nurses, the janitorial staff, the security, as opposed to hoarded, almost as if it was, some squirrels that were hunkering down for snowpocalypse in Albemarle, Virginia, by grabbing as many acorns in their cheeks, like Alvin, Simon, and Theodore, and going into a hole into a tree stump and just putting all those acorns aside. Because it seems to me that Haas and the administration are the Alvin, Simon, and Theodore with the proverbial acorns in their cheeks. And we'll unpack that on the program today. And the folks that really are carrying the weight of this, it's important to emphasize this. The folks that are carrying the weight of this are the taxpayers. I mean, we talked about this on the I Love CVille show yesterday. Albemarle County property tax revenue in 2022, $201 million. Albemarle County property tax revenue in 2026, $324 million. A massive spike of 61% in 5 years property tax revenue. A community where the demographic is becoming more white, homogenous, and wealthy. Okay, viewers and listeners don't want to hear that. Drive around Albemarle County. There's no diversity in Albemarle County. The median family household income, according to HUD, $125,800. That number, when it's soon to be released, and it's going to be released very soon, the updated number is going to be much higher than $125,800. That number is constantly increasing. Mm-hmm. And we still have significant innovative economic development on the horizon with biotechnology.
No doubt.
It's important to unpack that on the show. We'll unpack that today, guys, on the show. We'll give some attention to Charlottesville Sanitary Supply and Charlottesville Swimming Pool Company. John Vermillion and Andrew Vermillion, we saw this morning. They are gentlemen of high integrity and character, hardworking. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply has been in business for 62 years. 62 years. Their sister company, Charlottesville Swimming Pool Company, is who you contact for anything swimming pool related. Water testing, pool covers, pool robots, pool construction, above pool construction, liner repair. They're the consultants of anything swimming pool related. Vermillions, 5 generations in Albemarle County and 3 generations of business ownership. Should we start with Boeing? Let's start with Boeing, and then we'll dovetail that into Abigail Spanberger. You want to give attention to what Vanessa Parkhill sent us today? Thank you, Queen of Earlysville, Vanessa Parkhill. We appreciate you. Boeing, Judah.
Boeing has decided to move its defense HQ out of Arlington. That is not its entire business. It will maintain part of its business there, but the defense, space, and security headquarters are leaving Northern Virginia and heading back to St. Louis, where it was located from 1997 until 2017.
Yesterday, we talked about on the I Love CVille show, Virginia's unemployment claims spiking 71%. Mm-hmm. 71% on the unemployment claims. And the unemployment claims in Virginia that spiked 71% do not include Amazon shuttering 5 grocery stores in Northern Virginia. After yesterday's show, Boeing makes the announcement that its defense headquarters are leaving the Commonwealth and heading to St. Louis. I'm going to closely watch unemployment claims in Virginia. Mm-hmm. The region we know, like the Pope knows holy water, is Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia.
Yeah.
And in Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia, which we know, humbly speaking, better than 99.9% of the people in this 300,000 person region, there are closings happening left and right. We highlighted the Stefan Freeman restaurant empire. What was that? 8 businesses and 7 storefronts that shuttered. There is now, and this news will get out there. This is not my news to break, but it's getting out there now. There are businesses that are closing inside Dairy Market again. There's another one that is on the cusp of closing in downtown Charlottesville on the mall. There is one on Pantops of significance about to close. There are a couple in Albemarle County that I know of that are about to close. There's the scuttlebutt closing of a long-tenured brewery in Charlottesville. You hear about that scuttlebutt?
I have.
Okay. That's not our news to get out there. We respect these folks too much, especially the small business owners.
Yeah.
Because that's us.
No doubt.
Okay. But you have on my pad here, I was preparing for the show, I have a list of a dozen that I know that are looking in the next 60 to 90 days in the region. NBC 29 ran a story about businesses in Louisa County that are struggling to stay open. You see that story?
I think so, yeah.
That's a segue or a dovetail into Spanberger and Spanberger's Virginia. If you want to put that lower third on screen, I pass the baton to you. Is it less business friendly now? We had Glenn Youngkin, and I'm not going to make this about conservative or liberal. I'm not going to make this about Democrat or Republican. Let's just take the politics out of this, okay?
I'm not sure how you take the politics out of it.
We can take the politics out of this by just looking at data. When Youngkin left the Commonwealth, when Youngkin left the governor's mansion, there was a significant surplus. Mm-hmm. Youngkin was a lot of things, okay? I think Youngkin struggled in a number of capacities. I think Youngkin is going to be, unfortunately for Youngkin, remembered for how basically the implosion of the governor's relationship with the University of Virginia.
Yeah.
Youngkin's going to be remembered for firing Bert Ellis. Youngkin's going to be remembered for the General Assembly unwillingly or failing to approve his Board of Visitors appointments.
Yeah.
Youngkin's going to be remembered for appointing Ken Cuccinelli to the board.
Trying.
That wasn't approved. Why Cooch? Makes no sense, Governor Youngkin. Cooch makes no sense. Youngkin's going to remember for Jim Ryan's resignation under tremendous duress. Yeah. Youngkin's going to be remembered for his links to Trump. Youngkin's going to be remembered for, did he really authorize the pepper spraying of students in a pro-Palestine protest on grounds? We don't really think it was Jim Ryan.
Right.
What Youngkin's going to be remembered for, frankly, some overreach during COVID and the early stages of the pandemic, where he had a tattletale phone call line where people could tattletale on what was going on in schools when it was tied to COVID. And the governor was going to try to manage or mitigate a generational pandemic through a tattletale phone call line.
Yeah.
But what Youngkin should be remembered for, if he had played his cards correctly, especially in the 8th inning and the 9th inning, the final chapters and stanzas of his 4-year term, was his pro-business governance.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Look at what this guy's done just in this biotech beltway. Eli Lilly and Goochland. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many billions of dollars is Eli Lilly and Goochland, Judah? We know AstraZeneca is $4.5 billion in Albemarle County. We know Merck's pumping billions into the valley.
Well, let's see.
What is the scientific? What is I always draw a blank on the company down Avon Extended.
They're going to, Eli Lilly will be building a $5 billion manufacturing facility in Virginia.
If Youngkin had played his Afton Scientific is down Avon Extended, call up the Afton Scientific Glenn Youngkin announcement. How much did you say it was Eli Lilly with Goochland? $6 billion?
$5 billion manufacturing facility.
You got $5 billion in Goochland, $4.5 billion in Albemarle County. Merck's massive.
What do you want me to look up?
Look up Afton Scientific and the announcement Glenn Youngkin did. How many millions of dollars plus the new jobs that were hired. Youngkin, if he played his cards right, would have been remembered for the Northrop Grumman facility in the Waynesboro area.
Afton Scientific has a $200 million expansion.
$200 million expansion for Afton Scientific down Avon Extended. You can say Youngkin was a lot of things, but what you can't say about Youngkin was he's anti-business, which makes sense. He's the co-CEO of the Carlyle Group, or was at one time.
Yeah.
Business is Youngkin. I'm going to ask the question now, what, a month into Spanberger? Right? I'm going to ask you this question. Vanessa Parkhill asked me this question. Is the perception that it's going to be a much less business-friendly Commonwealth?
Very well might be. I think a lot depends on how many of these 50 or so new tax bills she chooses to pass. And that may be why some businesses that may not be in a tough position, like some of the smaller businesses locally, but some bigger businesses may see a slew of new taxes coming across the governor's desk as a good reason to make scarce.
Carly Wagner watching the program. She's really made the I Love CVille Network better. She highlights this. Also consider the several wineries around the area that are for sale around here as well. That's a big sign that it's not profitable and business owners are dumping their holdings. Here's one that I saw on Maurice Let me make sure I have his name correctly. I should know this.
Covington?
Maurice Covington does a phenomenal job for Frank Hardy. Someone make sure that the Frank Hardy team and Maurice Covington hear this. He does a phenomenal job on social media. Phenomenal job. He just got under contract in Covington, Virginia, a commercial property of 8,300 plus square feet off Interstate 64. He's doing a really good job of also investing with his family. I know because my family lost out on a purchase recently on Garth Road. He doesn't know this. He's probably going to hear this for the first time through the I Love CVille show. We were looking at a wonderful house on Garth Road. He and his family won the 7-acre property, won this deal. They're now pumping a boatload of money into it to revitalize it, to bring it to market, to flip it. It's a good model. He buys it, he gets a percentage of commission on the buy side. Then he goes with a strategic contractor, and he revitalizes the property on Garth Road. He bought it for 1.5. He's going to pump, I don't know, hundreds of thousands into it. Probably going to come on a market. Maurice Covington, I'm just going to talk out loud here. I would imagine that you're going to bring Garth Road to market to somewhere between 2.4 and 2.5. Is that fair? You know, it's not close to coming to market. I think it's going to be somewhere between 2.4 and 2.5 when it's done. We're talking 2121 Garth Road, across from Hunt Country Market. He is doing a phenomenal job on social media. He's got a winery that he has for sale. He's the listing agent, along with friend of the program. Both these guys, friend of the program. Andrew Hardy's a real good friend of the program. Played squash with him the other day. Got the W against you, Andrew Hardy. I think it was 3-0 that day. Not that I'm bragging. Just want to put that out there. 1376 Wyatt Mountain Road. What is that? The Stone Mountain Estate, a vineyard property. They just had a price cut on that one. There are a lot of vineyards for sale, wineries for sale. There's a rumored closing of a city brewery. I'm not going to say which one. I don't think we should say which one.
I'll leave it up to them.
Leave it up to them. What is causing this? We were having a conversation with some really good people today. Seems like a lot of people are trying to rub two nickels together and make it a quarter. You know, the robbing of Peter to pay Paul. What is causing this? Have you noticed, if you're in the business community, this is something that is not emphasized enough. The ability to get financing. And what is key to driving business success? There's a lot of keys. Keeping budget in check, payroll in check, driving incremental business while servicing existing business. But one of the keys to business success, especially in the small business level, is the ability to get financing. The ability to get, if needed, a loan from a commercial lender to help at a time of expansion or a time of need by leveraging assets or collateral to secure the debt. You talk to commercial lenders, you talk to small business owners, the option, the ability to get loans, financing, despite having legitimate collateral to backstop the money, they just aren't issuing the paper right now.
Banks aren't?
No?
Maybe, I mean, is that a sign that the rest of us should be worried? If banks are worried.
I've been self-employed for 18 years. A lot of our living is made in the deal-making space. I learned over this 18-year period of time from people like, Rob Stockhausen, people like Hunter Craig, people like Keith Smith, right? Keith Smith.
Yeah.
You want to follow what's going on with a jurisdiction or where you live, you watch the builders and you watch the lenders. Watch what the builders are doing, because the developers specifically, because these developers are bringing projects to market that don't come to market for years.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a level of risk they're taking,
Right.
where they're millions of dollars invested today for the option to get millions of dollars plus whatever yield, but in the meantime have a boatload of carrying costs associated with the project.
Right.
How about the lenders? I remember talking about on this program, goodness gracious, it was on the cusp, and one of my clients was on the about to purchase a sandwich shop on the UVA corner. And that sandwich shop was not Little John's. I'm not going to say which one. My client ended up not purchasing the sandwich shop on the UVA corner for a number of reasons that I will not say on this show, despite having a very, very, very strong offer, and despite having the blessing of the commercial landlord where the sandwich shop was located within an institutional business. And doing that deal, we met with a number of banks that were going to finance the transaction. And in the process of doing it, I kept the relationships going with 3 or 4 banks locally, and we talked about a multifamily purchase with these banks that were willing to finance this smaller deal for my client, but a multifamily purchase off of East High Street. And I think it was this about a year ago, and I talked about this on the I Love CVille show, that 3 banks locally, despite me and a partner who's even more experienced than I in this, he was 61, not my mentor, but somebody else that very much is, I look to for advice. We're looking to buy a multifamily, 2 different buildings off of East High Street. The bank straight up said to us, despite 25% down, that we are not going to finance any more multifamily. That was a year ago. It said we have too much multifamily we're going to carry now. We see softening with multifamily. We're not going to do any more moving forward. Those financing headwinds, those financing challenges are even more present now. And it's not just multifamily, it's financing tied to small business.
Yeah.
When do we start saying, and Lynn Snyder, I'm going to get to your comments, Ed Helms, I'm going to get to your comments. When do we start saying this? Judah, the unemployment rate spiked. The insurance costs are at an all-time high.
Everything's high.
The remodeling costs are at an all-time high. Roofing, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, don't have enough subs. Flooring. Land values are at an all-time high. Loan rates, interest rates have dropped some, but we're certainly multiple points away from where we were during COVID.
Yeah.
Vacancy rates still have not recovered since COVID. Vacancy rates have not recovered since COVID.
Yeah.
When do we start saying that these headwinds that are amongst us right now are crescendoing or snowballing? And it's compounded by a General Assembly and a governor that out of the gates are talking about 50 additional tax bills for Virginians.
That's, I mean, even without any of them being passed yet, that's still, I think, headwinds for businesses who have to take a look at the environment that they're going to be working in for the next year, the next 5 years, the next 10 years? Is it worth it to keep going right now, or is it time to pack up, or is it time to move somewhere else?
And well said. And when do we start talking about redistricting as you put another lower third on screen?
Oh, man.
When do we start talking about, I had a conversation yesterday with a gentleman, friend of the program, good guy, very good guy, McIntyre School of Commerce guy. He said, yeah, you want to be in favor of redistricting? These are his exact words. He put it so succinctly. You're in favor of redistricting? Then you're in favor of Northern Virginia running the Commonwealth. You're in favor of redistricting? Whether you're Republican or a liberal, Republican or a Democrat, conservative or a liberal, you want Northern Virginia running the Commonwealth? Then you're in favor of redistricting.
Yeah.
My Virginia is not one where Northern Virginia runs the Commonwealth.
My Virginia is not one that responds to something that Texas does and
California?
and points and says, what about them? That's just stupid political wars back and forth, people doing dumb things and other people doing more dumb things and saying, oh, it's a response to what they did. Okay, well, do we really have to tell our Congress people and our politicians in Virginia, do we really have to ask them that if the politicians in Texas jumped off a bridge, would they jump off too? I mean, is that what we're left with?
My Virginia is not a Virginia where lawmakers choose other lawmakers. My Virginia is a Virginia where Virginians choose lawmakers. Jim Hingley's watching the program. Can we get Jim Hingley's photo on screen? We're going to take comments from the viewers and listeners. There's a gentleman that's really made the program and the I Love CVille Network better of late, Judah. If we can write his name down, his name is Hank Martin. I just sent him a friend request. He's currently commenting on the I Love CVille group in the comment section of this show. I sent him a friend request. Handsome gentleman. He's got what appears to be a red sweater on with black shoulder pads on. So, salt and pepper hair with glasses. I'd like to get Hank Martin's photo where we can put on screen for future shows. He's made some really good comments. I'm going to get to Hank Martin's comments in a matter of moments. First, Jim Hingley. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Hingley says this. I have tremendous respect for Jim Hingley. On your point that both parties should oppose gerrymandering, I have two questions. Trump. We Republicans are entitled to 5 more seats, speaking about mid-decade redistricting in Texas. What Virginia Republicans criticize Trump's demand that lawmakers pick lawmakers? Do Virginia Republicans like gerrymandering when it favors them but opposes gerrymandering when it doesn't? So what Mr. Hingley is saying, what Jim Hingley is saying is the outcry in the Commonwealth is an outcry that is selective outcry because it's not conducive to your politics or your bottom line.
Yeah, and if the rules were
how would you
reversed,
respond to that? I
would respond that sadly, a lot of people are exactly like that. A lot of people will scream and cry when they're losing out, and laugh and cheer when it's their side getting one over on the other side. And I do my best to not be hypocritical in my own beliefs. And so when I see that kind of reaction myself, I try to stop it. Not everybody is like that, and sadly, I think the number of people who don't have enough self-awareness to see that type of hypocrisy, that's why we end up with stupid political battles like this, where Texas does something stupid and everybody follows suit.
Comments are coming in quickly. Hank Martin, welcome to the family. You've made the network better of late. How did you find the I Love CVille Network, Hank Martin? He's got some comments on the program. He says, "My Virginia, or was my Virginia, was the cradle of the Republic, which seemingly is exactly why it's being targeted the way it is." Hank Martin says, "Another thing to follow is our enemy China is no longer purchasing our T-bills." And Hank Martin also asked this question: "One cannot help but wonder if AstraZeneca may suddenly revisit their decision to locate here as well. Contracts were made to be broken."
Wow, that would be something.
This is important to highlight here. In the first month since since Democrats have been in control of all of government in Virginia, at the state level,
Yeah.
you have seen headlines dominated by 50 new tax bills. You've seen headlines dominated by redistricting.
Yeah.
You have seen headlines dominated by the reimagining of university and colleges' board of visitors. What seems to be the potential destruction of Virginia Military Institute to rebuild it in a 2026 version of itself.
Yeah.
When you start adding all of these elements, or when you start considering all of those storylines with the storylines that already existed, that Spanberger inherited, and some of those storylines I highlighted already, the challenge with getting financing, the cost of labor being higher than ever, the cost of goods being higher than ever, rents being out of control, consumers and customers having less money in their pocket, rubbing a couple of nickels together to make a quarter. You start having this storm, this perfect storm,
Yeah.
where C-suite or business owners, and unfortunately this is at a higher level because the mom and pops can't just get up and leave.
Right.
They start asking themselves, is this the place where I should operate? My buddy I play squash with in Long Island all the time, when I'm up there, he's got a hedge fund. He said he gave such significant thought to moving his entire hedge fund to Florida, including his team members to Florida, where he went and interviewed with private school down there for his two daughters. They went and toured property. They put a deposit down for a private school. They found a commercial space to put the hedge fund in. They want to get out of Manhattan for, was it Mamdani, the socialist mayor?
Yeah.
Who's going after the, top 10% in New York City from a tax standpoint? Was.
I heard now he's realized that's not enough, and he wants to raid the mid earners pension funds. I haven't read a whole lot about it, so I don't know how true that is, but I wouldn't be surprised.
No one wants to hear this, but these are just facts here. It's the earners that he's pursuing from a taxing standpoint are the dominant base, or the dominant, the majority of the tax base. And by majority, I mean significant majority of the tax base. So if you start positioning this demographic in a light of feeling uncomfortable or unwelcome and they leave, then all you're doing is losing your tax base.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's what Charlottesville City is doing. Mayor Juan Diego Wade is like, let's start institutionalizing. You can put this lower third on screen for Juan Wade. Let's start institutionalizing the purchase of land in the city, Judah, to build affordable housing, subsidized housing.
Yeah.
Those were Juan Diego Wade's comments on the record in a council meeting recently.
It's a great thought, but is it the job of the city to do that?
Okay, that's a great question.
I'll
respond even. I'll take it a step further. I'm going to take it even the most simplistic terms. Viewers and listeners, why is housing so expensive in Charlottesville, Virginia? Charlottesville City. Why is housing so expensive in Charlottesville City? Judah, I'll start with you. Why is housing so expensive in Charlottesville City?
Because there's so little buildable land.
Judah's a smart man. It's 10.2 square miles. It's 10.2 square miles, Charlottesville City. Because of this revenue sharing agreement with Albemarle County, the city's not annexing any Albemarle County land to expand the city.
Yeah.
You talk on development, what are the tracts of land right now that really could be developed into any kind of housing of significance? The city yard in the Star Hill neighborhood, where the city is storing its work vehicles, and it's basically a mechanic shop or a storage area. That's serious acreage in Star Hill neighborhood, right off West Main Street. Ix Park, which I do one day think it's going to sell. Alan Kajin and Ludwig Kuchner have Ix Park. Okay, you just saw
not a lot of room.
You just saw Kim's Market in the IGA purchased by Woodard Properties, Keith and Anthony Woodard. They're trying to figure out how to bring that to market. The only way Anthony and Keith Woodard of Woodard Properties are bringing this to market is through serious subsidization from the city, and by doing a joint venture with a nonprofit developer, Piedmont Housing Alliance. They weren't going to bring that to market in today's red tape Charlottesville, today's abrasive building environment, city of Charlottesville. You're talking about two intelligent people, Anthony and Keith Woodard. How do we take a piece of land in a city where developers are scarlet lettered and seen as Lucifer himself? Well, we could potentially partner with Piedmont Housing Alliance, a nonprofit that does housing affordability. And if we partner with PHA, we know then that's going to get the goodwill of the Fifeville neighborhood, a historically black and marginalized neighborhood. And if we dangle this grocery store as a carrot, that's going to create selective outcry from Fifeville, and Fifeville has the political equity and goodwill because of some nasty stuff that's happened in Charlottesville over the decades and generations, tied to the raising of Vinegar Hill, tied to gentrification, tied to racism, right? All that's going to come to the forefront. And this neighborhood and its neighborhood association, in conjunction with Piedmont Housing Alliance, is going to peer pressure and bully the city council into utilizing taxpayer resources money to help us take this project to market. And that's how we get around this.
So you're saying the developers weaponized the neighborhood and the...
Those are your words, not my words. Those aren't your words. I know Anthony, he's a good guy. I've had one conversation with Keith. I know Anthony Woodard, he's a great guy. Those are your words, those aren't my words. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that two businessmen that have a historical track record of doing quality development saw what happened on Water Street when Anthony's father, Keith, walked away from more than $1 million of underground infrastructure when he was building a home, a permanent home for the city market on Water Street, along with multifamily housing on Water Street. Only to have Nakaya Walker, then the mayor of Charlottesville, verbally attack the Woodard Properties company, be so abrasive and challenging to work with that Keith just said, F this. I don't care about my $1 million in underground infrastructure. I'm done working with this council. So they figured out a different way to slice the bread. You don't need the bread slicer to get sliced bread. Sometimes you can pull out the knife from the block and slice the bread. And how they figured out to slice the bread with the Kim's Market IGA was, hey, we'll offer you a shell of a grocery store. You got to manage it. You got to run it. You got to staff it. You even got to come up with the money to figure out what's going to go inside the grocery store. We're not going to have any cashiers for you. We're not going to create any shelves for you. All we're going to do is going to give you a shell. And that was enough of a carrot to dangle that the Fifeville Neighborhood Association, which is organized and credible, and backed by equity of goodwill and equity tied to nastiness in Charlottesville's history, to then get Sunshine Mathon. I always butcher his last name. I saw Sunshine yesterday. He always has a backpack on, Sunshine. He's always in a hurry. He always gives the energy, Sunshine, I hope you hear this, okay? Sometimes you give the energy of being unfriendly, even if you are not unfriendly. That is the energy that you give. Just throwing that out there. They get Sunshine and Piedmont PHA on board, a developer. They are a developer. And once they're on board, the city of Charlottesville's like, here's all the money. We'll give you all the money you want to build this project to market. It's genius.
Yeah, weaponize the PSA.
I don't think it's weaponizing, but you could call it that. I call that a joint venture. I call that a strategic partnership.
When development is a battle, sometimes you need a weapon, right?
Tomato, tomato. Those are your words, not mine. Tomato, tomato. We all know the grocery store is not going to survive there. Everyone who has any kind of common sense knows that. Let's get a bunch of people that don't know how to run a grocery store to operate a grocery store and to compete in the smallest margin business in America. In an over-grocery stored market that has seen other grocery stores. Isn't Aldi close? Lidl? Fresh Market?
I always forget which is which.
Kroger?
The one.
Kroger closing?
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos is closing 5 of them in Northern Virginia.
And that guy's got how many billions of dollars?
He's got a little bit more money than PHA, the Fikeville Neighborhood Association, and Charlottesville
more.
City Council. See, what we're trying to do here on the show is we're trying to have really real conversations about stuff that's going on out there, like macro topics, entitlement at the micro level. You got Boeing leaving. Mm-hmm. You got 5 Amazon grocery stores closing. You got Virginia unemployment rates spiking, all coinciding with cost of goods, labor, rent being at an all-time highs. Yeah. All coinciding with the commercial lending environment being non-existent, all coinciding with the consumer trying to rub 2 nickels together to get a quarter and having less disposable income to go spend and support, all coinciding with the consumer choosing to do more at home because of this addiction of screens and third-party delivery as opposed to going out and actually socializing with people.
Yeah. It's great for us introverts, but
terrible for people like me.
And terrible for business.
All coinciding with Democrats saying, here's 50 new tax bills.
Yeah.
All coinciding with Democrats saying, we want to redistrict the Commonwealth of Virginia. What was it? Was it Senator Lucas, 11-1? Or is it 10-1? 10-1.
10-1.
10-1. Effing 10-1. You see the video of her saying that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Look it up.
And I'm assuming she's cheering.
Oh, assuming, that's a hell, of course. Dropping the F-bomb. That was the same one that was using the word cook. Cockle, what is it?
Oh, yeah. The cuck chair.
Yeah, that was gross.
No doubt.
All coinciding, and viewers and listeners, we're going to get to your comments here. There's more comments than I can keep up. All coinciding with Mayor Juan Diego Wade saying, let's institutionalize the purchase of land in the city, the commodity in the city that is the fewest and furthest between.
And probably the most expensive.
Why would you do that? Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
I mean, unless you have...
He said that in response to Nakia Walker, who this past council meeting in the public portion comment went on this rant that I had no idea what she was saying.
It was pretty wild.
Was the rant... Okay, help me understand that. Was it not a bananas rant?
It was. I need to find it again.
It was like, what are you saying? Comments are coming in. Barbara Becker-Tilley is watching the program. Not only is there a surplus, but we are all receiving significant tax breaks and refunds this year, a surplus on our Yunkin. I can almost guarantee we will not see that next year with the current administration's desires to spend. And Barbara Becker-Tilley says, Judah is spot on. We all lose with these stupid political battles of sides.
Yeah.
You have Nakia Walker's comments in public portion?
Not yet. I can't remember where I saw them.
CVilleRightNow.com.
CVille right now. Okay. I'll find it in this.
Should be on right below the fold. It was in yesterday's news cycle. Mike Barber's doing a good job. I hope he hears that.
Yeah.
In fact, I have it here if you want me to read
I've
them.
got it.
You got it? It's on the bottom of the article. Why don't you read them? Actually, Dory Zook wrote this. You got them?
I got to say that they spelled her name wrong.
Dory Zook. You misspelled the former mayor's name.
That's easily fixable. Former Mayor Nakia Walker was the only person who spoke during the public hearing. This was, what, Monday? Is this...
And what'd she say?
She said, I advocate for you all to consider using funds like this and funds that will come up in the future, and maybe even consider some of the policy changes that we considered before, whether the reserves needed to be at the level that they are currently at, and bond ratings and stuff like that, to make sure that your most vulnerable citizens, that black citizens, as all the members of the slave auction block group just talked about, people who built this city, the descendants of, are taken care of. I also know that you are probably still advised to not use one-time funding for things that will take, multiple years of funding.
Do you know what that means?
No idea.
You're a smart man. I have no idea what that means. Do you know what that means?
I think she's calling the...
You read it again for the viewers and listeners? You're reading this verbatim, right?
I think she's calling the city council members of the slave auction block group. But I'll read it again. No, straight.
This is public record.
Yeah. Quote, I advocate for you all to consider using funds like this and funds that will come up in the future, and maybe even consider some of the policy changes that we considered before, whether the reserves needed to be at the level that they are currently at, and bond ratings and stuff like that, to make sure that your most vulnerable citizens, that black citizens, as all the members of the slave auction block group just talked about, people who built this city, the descendants of, are taken care of. I also know that you are probably still advised to not use one-time funding for things that will take, multiple years of funding.
I have no idea what that means. Don Gathers is do we have a photo for Don Gathers? I have tremendous respect for Don Gathers.
We don't have him in here.
We need to get a photo for Don Gathers. He's a key contributor to the I Love CVille Show.
I can pull one up pretty quickly, I think. Give me just
Don
a second.
Gathers is pushing back on us.
Okay. We don't mind.
No, we welcome the pushback. He says, I get it, Jerry. Don Gathers. I get it. His photo on screen?
No, not yet. Give me a second.
Give me a thumbs up when it is. He goes, I get it, Jerry. Your slant is this. Democrats are bad.
That's not true.
Republicans are good. Shake my head, Jerry. You consistently attempt to slam Mayor Walker, but make no mention of the absolute quagmire that she inherited from Mike Signer. You attack Mayor Wade, but adore the job of Lloyd Snook. I get it. We all get it. Do you want to respond to that, or should I?
I think it's in part disingenuous, and his picture's not coming up fast enough, so I'm going to...
We include the photo tomorrow. Let's make sure. I welcome Don Gathers' comments on the show. Please. Yeah. Why do you think his comments there are disingenuous?
Speaking for myself, while I may associate closer with Republican values than Democratic values, I believe that we need both sides to temper each other, and I will call out either side when I feel they are misbehaving, so to speak. I wasn't a big fan of Youngkin coming in and throwing around a bunch of executive orders after we had just dealt with a Democratic governor who threw around a bunch of executive orders. I will call out both sides if I feel they're doing something wrong. That doesn't mean I don't have an opinion. That doesn't mean I don't associate closer with one side than the other. But we're mainly here to discuss what we see going on around us.
Dude, I don't care if you're black, white, Puerto Rican, or Haitian.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian. I don't care if you're Jewish, Southern Baptist, Protestant, or atheist.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're poor, middle class, or wealthy.
And was he implying racism by that? That Snook.
I absolutely
Wade
think
comment?
that was an implication of racism.
I think that's unfair.
I think that is, and I respect a man's opinion. I'm totally fine with you saying this. You're entitled to say this. And we will make sure we have the photo on screen because we welcome Mr. Gathers' comments and commentary on the I Love CVille show. The entire premise of this show, Mr. Gathers, respectfully and however, is not one of politics. It is one of fiscal conservative, being physically conservative. Fiscally conservative when it comes to spending, and socially liberal when it comes to mindset, and one of small governance, and one of letting the free market do what the free market does. And we have a laundry list of examples of what happens when we allow governance in here in Charlottesville, and I'm just going to use Charlottesville as a microcosm, to overstep and overreach. We have a laundry list of examples of what happens when we allow the federal government to overstep and overreach.
Here's Don Gathers.
Yeah, handsome fellow, great guy.
Yeah.
Fantastic basketball referee. Love his comments during the public portion of city council meetings. Charismatic, well-spoken, connected, intelligent.
No doubt. He's been on the show a couple times.
Multiple times.
I was impressed by him both times he was here.
My issue with Nakia Walker, my issue with Juan Wade, my issue with Mike Signer, my issue with Lloyd Snook, my issue with Sina McGill, my issue with Michael Payne and Natalie Oshrin is extremely succinct. You want to know what that issue is? Look at what has happened with the city over the last 10 years of their governance. The yearly budget has escalated to all-time highs, while the ecosystem for business and the overall quality of life has not matched the level of spending.
Yeah.
That's my issue. Albemarle County, its ecosystem for business and its quality of life has also not matched the level of spending, an all-time high, but it's clipped along or progressed at a much closer rate than what Charlottesville City has. That's my issue, Mr. Gathers.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Turner, welcome to the broadcast. Chief Kachis, welcome to the broadcast. We appreciate when you watch the program, Chief Kachis. We love him. Somehow I think that may be used against me for saying that I like the police chief.
Well, that's fine if somebody wants to use my...
I like the police chief. He's doing a good job.
Yeah.
Crime is
So
down.
too.
Violent crime is down. Another example is the homeless shelter.
Yeah.
The $6.2 million.
Are we going to normalize...
We're talking about institutionalizing land
Are we
purchasing.
going to institutionalize buying land and then not doing anything with it for years?
Juan Wade says, let's institutionalize the purchase of land. Okay, well, let's take the Holiday Drive purchase as an example. It cost taxpayers $6.2 million. Then that parcel of land is taken off the tax rolls. Then the city partners with consultants who then tell us it's going to be 2 to 3 years minimum before it comes to market, and minimum we're going to need another $5 million of taxpayer money. And then we don't even have an operator for the shelter. We could have a world we live in where the city is $11.2 million minimum out of pocket for this shelter. 11.2 million out of pocket of taxpayer dollars to bring the shelter to market. A property permanently removed in perpetuity from the tax rolls and no operator. And it went from 200 shelter beds down to 80 shelter beds.
It was more than that. It was more than
80 to 115
right?
was the number.
Was it that far down?
Oh, yeah. 80 to 115. And Mr. Gather says, respectfully, you know that I've never worked for Hershey's or Nestle. I don't sugarcoat anything. And I have something to say. I say it typically without implications. And I'm going to respond to him, his comment. And that is why we love you, kind sir.
Yeah.
Period. Respond to his comment during the talk show. I sincerely mean that. Comments continue to come in on the program. We're not going to get to all the comments today. We apologize. We love the comments, though. I sincerely mean that. Deep Throat, number one in the family. Now, he's throwing a zing at Nakia Walker here. He says, we should be long past the point we take Walker's yapping seriously. We should regard her with pity as we would any person with what appears to be mental and emotional problems. He also says, Juan Diego's Wade's comments mean, don't worry about financial prudence, don't worry about ratings, don't worry about reserves, rather spend all the money we have on me and my friends. Actually, he means that as Nakia Walker's comments, what they mean to him. I wasn't sure what she said.
I wasn't entirely sure either.
And you're an extremely smart person.
I mean, maybe if I'd heard her speak them, they would have sometimes the cadence or the just, I don't know.
It didn't help that the author chose not to use any punctuation whatsoever on that thing.
I mean, there are commas, a few, but yeah, it's. I mean, sometimes it's hard to transcribe someone's speech.
All right. We're not going to do the 3 most important minutes of news today because we just went, goodness gracious. We just went, Judah, you see the time?
Yeah.
We went 80 minutes straight without commercial break. 80 minutes straight. Who is giving you this in Virginia? No one is giving this to you in Virginia. That's why it works. All right, that's the talk show. He's Judah Wickower. My name is Jerry Miller. On Real Talk tomorrow with Keith Smith. That show's at 10:15. Then the final show of the week, the I Love CVille Show, is at 12:30. Just as a programming note, the live stream on YouTube shut off.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
Huh.
Something to consider.
That's odd.
Elliot Harding, the defense attorney, welcome to the broadcast. All right, that's all she wrote. Today on the program, we had a fantastic police chief, a fantastic Commonwealth attorney, a city councilor, 2 Albemarle County supervisors, a Nelson County supervisor, Louisa County supervisor, a state senator, a state delegate, and a couple of candidates, along with print, radio, and television on the program. It's just a water cooler of content and conversation, man. Unfiltered, unafraid, unabashed, unaffiliated. He's Judah Wickower. He's a really smart guy. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us.
Smart.